The call of the mountain in the heart of the Swiss Alps, where the peaks kissed the sky and the valleys cradled ancient forests, stood the majestic Mount Arvandor. This mountain was more than just a towering giant of rock and ice. It was a symbol of endurance, a challenge to those who dared to climb it, and a source of inspiration for those who simply gazed upon its grandeur. At the foot of Mount Arvandor lay the quaint village of Linden. The villagers lived in harmony with the rugged landscape, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the mountain. Among them was a young woman named Isabelle. Isabelle had grown up in Linden, her childhood filled with stories of daring climbers and mythical creatures that were said to inhabit the higher slopes. Isabelle's father, Henri, had been one of the most renowned climbers in the region. His tales of conquering peaks and surviving storms had filled her with awe and admiration. However, he had gone missing on an expedition to Mount Arvandor when Isabelle was just a child. Despite the tragedy, Isabelle's love for the mountain never waned. Instead, it deepened, her heart echoing with the call of the mountain. One crisp autumn morning, as the first light of dawn touched the peaks with a golden glow, Isabelle stood at the edge of the village, her eyes fixed on the summit of Mount Arvandor. She had made up her mind. She would climb the mountain, not only to honor her father's memory but also to answer the call that had resonated within her for so long. With her heart pounding with excitement and a mixture of fear, Isabelle set off on her journey. She was well prepared, having trained for years under the guidance of the village's experienced climbers. Her pack was filled with supplies, and she wore her father's old climbing jacket, a talisman of courage and determination. As she ascended the lower slopes, the path was familiar and well-trodden. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the scent of pine and the distant murmur of streams. Isabelle moved with a steady rhythm, her steps sure and confident. She passed through dense forests and rocky outcrops, each step bringing her closer to the heart of the mountain. By midday, she reached the first of several base camps. Here, she met a group of climbers who were also preparing to summit Mount Arvandor. Among them was a man named Lucas, a seasoned climber with a kind smile and a wealth of knowledge about the mountain. He had known Henri and spoke of him with great respect. "You have your father's spirit," Lucas said, as they shared a meal by the campfire. "He was a brave and determined man. I see the same fire in your eyes." Isabelle smiled, grateful for the encouragement. "I want to honor his memory," she said softly. "And I want to understand why the mountain calls to me so strongly." Lucas nodded, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames. "Mount Arvandor has a way of calling to those who are meant to climb it. It's not just about reaching the summit, it's about the journey, the challenges, and the discoveries along the way." The next morning, Isabelle and the group of climbers set out together. The path grew steeper and more treacherous, the air thinner and colder. They moved carefully, supporting each other through the difficult terrain. Isabelle felt a deep sense of camaraderie, a bond forged by the shared goal of conquering the mountain. As they climbed higher, the landscape changed. The trees gave way to barren rock and ice, the silence broken only by the crunch of their boots and the occasional roar of an avalanche in the distance. Isabelle's muscles ached, and her breath came in short, sharp gasps, but she pressed on, driven by a determination that came from deep within. One evening, as they set up camp on a narrow ledge, a fierce storm rolled in. The wind howled, and snow swirled around them, obscuring their vision and chilling them to the bone. Isabelle huddled in her tent, her thoughts filled with her father. She wondered if he had faced a similar storm on his final climb, if he had felt the same mixture of fear and resolve. The storm passed by morning, leaving the world transformed into a dazzling white landscape. The climbers emerged from their tents, their spirits lifted by the clear skies and the breathtaking beauty around them. Isabelle felt a renewed sense of purpose, her father's presence a guiding force. On the final push to the summit, the climb became even more challenging. The air was thin, and every step required immense effort. Isabelle's heart pounded in her chest, her body screaming for rest, but she refused to give up. Lucas and the other climbers offered words of encouragement, their collective strength helping her push through the pain. Finally, as the sun dipped towards the horizon, casting a golden glow on the snow, Isabelle reached the summit of Mount Arvandor. She stood at the top, the world spread out below her, a sea of peaks and valleys bathed in the light of the setting sun. Tears filled her eyes as she gazed out at the breathtaking view, her heart swelling with a sense of accomplishment and peace. She knelt in the snow, placing a small stone cairn in memory of her father. "I did it, Papa," she whispered, her voice carried away by the wind. "I answered the call." Lucas and the other climbers joined her at the summit, their faces filled with joy and pride. They stood together, a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit. In that moment, Isabelle understood the true meaning of the mountain's call. It was not just a physical challenge but a journey of the soul, a test of courage, and a path to self-discovery. As they began the descent, Isabelle felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had honored her father's memory and found her own place in the legacy of Mount Arvandor. The mountain's call had been answered, and she knew that its whisper would always be a part of her, a reminder of the strength and beauty that lay within her heart.